I am very close to done with my love affair with this book. Honestly, I'm debating printing it out just so I can set it on fire. Every writer knows that eventually our ideas become less shiny. Usually with time and reading the manuscript over and over again, it ceases to be exciting at some point. When we first had that idea, it was shiny, it was new, it was exciting. We absolutely couldn't wait to sit down and draft it out. And then you read it again and again and again, and the shine wears off. By the time that I was on my probably 5th or 6th set of major edits for the Strange and Deadly Portraits of Bryony Grey, I was really over the story. As far as I was concerned, I didn't really ever want to see it again. But because my editor at Penguin Random House said, hey, can you do these edits? That's not really an option. There were a few things that I did to keep myself from going crazy and kind of rekindling my interest in the manuscript. And no, by rekindle, I do not mean setting it on fire. One of the things that helped was utilizing the Twitter hashtag #OneLineWednesday. Every Wednesday there's a theme for people to tweet their favorite line in their manuscript surrounding that theme. So say if the theme is dark, I would go through the manuscript and find the nicest lines that said the word dark in them. And this was actually something I found really entertaining because I would find little parts of my story that I'd almost forgotten about. Also, when I put it on Twitter, you get people's reactions to that writing, and it almost kind of reminds you why you were excited to write it in the first place. The other thing I used a lot if I got really sick of the manuscript was making a Pinterest board. I didn't actually make a Pinterest board for Bryony Grey until much later on in the manuscripts during the edit process, just because I was so sick of it. I wanted something to kind of visualize what I was thinking. It's one thing to write things down, it's another thing to actually see pictures with that kind of tone that you're thinking of when you're writing the story. And so that really helped to rekindle my interest and my passion for the story, and it made it exciting again. Okay, this is gonna seem really dorky, and I'm reluctant to admit this, but one of the things that I find really help if I get really sick of the manuscript I'm writing is visualizing the whole thing as an actual movie. So while I'm reading scenes, instead of picturing it like I usually do in my head, I picture it like I'm sitting in a theater watching this as a movie. So how would the line of dialogue be delivered? How would he stand when he said it? What would he look like? What actor would play him? And you're kind of picturing something completely different in your head. So this is something that kind of can spark your interest a little bit. Not only because it's exciting to kind of geek out and think about, well, it could be a movie someday, but because it kind of makes you think about the story a little differently. I know I cannot be the only one that does this. Another thing I really like doing is rereading some of my favorite scenes, usually from the beginning of the book because they are not as fresh. Some of the things that I really enjoyed writing, maybe some of the scenes that kind of triggered the idea in the first place. The final thing I did that helped a lot was actually reading the manuscript out loud. This might not be super helpful if you're doing heavy developmental edits. You might not be able to read your whole manuscript through out loud and try to take notes for those at the same time, but when I was doing line edits and I was really sick of the story, it was really helpful to read it out loud, and I actually kind of ended up lapsing into funny accents, reading it in different voices. I sounded like a crazy person, but it was really helpful to keep it interesting. What about you guys? If you get really sick of a manuscript, whether you are rewriting it for the 5th time or editing it, or whatever is making you tired and the shine fade off your shiny new idea, what do you do to cope with that? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, the WordNerds have our live chat on Sunday, and we would love to see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.